So, welcome back, my fellow advocates. Appreciate you all coming through for yet another topic of discussion for the Reggie, the Growth Advocate YouTube channel. And in just a moment, we are going to dive into the topic of receiving constructive criticism. But I definitely want to take a moment to send a shout out to the new subscribers, those who are watching and have yet to subscribe. Go ahead and hit that button. I appreciate each and every one of you tapping in, tuning in. Yes, you have found the Reggie the Growth Advocate YouTube channel. Wherever, whoever, or whatever led you to this space, I appreciate y'all. So let's get into it, y'all. Once again, I mentioned we are talking about receiving constructive criticism. And also, let me take another moment to direct you to the latest episode of the Growth Times Infinity podcast, where we actually started this discussion. So, part one is on the podcast, episode 183. So check that out. I shared with you 3 tips on receiving constructive criticism. I appreciate the feedback that I received from that episode. I have already received some stating that they were some good tips. Speaking of receiving constructive criticism, receiving feedback, I appreciate y'all. So, once again, we talked about the first 3 tips of receiving constructive criticism. Now, on the Reggie the Growth Advocate YouTube channel, I'm going to share with you tips 4 through 6 on receiving constructive criticism. Are y'all ready, y'all? Y'all ready for this discussion? All right. So let's grow and let's go. So let's get into it, y'all. Tip number 4 on receiving constructive criticism. And that tip is to say thank you, expressing gratitude. And I will suggest to you how you should receive, how you should express your gratitude, saying thank you. Look them in the eyes, shake their hands, and say thank you. And I feel that looking into their eyes is key. It is truly key because what it tells the person that gave you the feedback is that you're truly genuine about expressing your gratitude. And that's what it's all about. Don't just say thank you for your feedback. Don't just say thank you for your constructive criticism. Don't just say thank you for those words, but actually mean it. And once again, I feel like looking them into the eyes, shaking their hands, and expressing your gratitude, it means a lot to them. Because think about it this way: there are very few people who are going to take the time to give you feedback if you think about it, right? Besides your managers at work, supervisors, many of us have mentors, many of us have coaches who guide us, who give us feedback as we're going through our journey. And going back to the managers and supervisors, they're taking the time to give you constructive criticism, give you feedback for the best for their business. And of course, you want to do that. They want to bring out the best in you. So does our coaches and our mentors as we go along on our personal development journey or whatever their area of expertise is. They're giving us guidance, they're giving us coaching, they're giving us feedback. So besides that, if you think about social media, right? And if you put out some very valuable information, not too many people are going to actually leave feedback, leave comments about it. So we must really appreciate the people who take the time to leave you feedback, to leave you that criticism. So that's tip number 4 is to say thank you, express your gratitude. Tip number 5 is to ask questions to deconstruct the feedback. And we want to do this for the sake of clarity to ensure that we understand the feedback that was given to us. We want to do this. And once we understand, also with understanding, you want to share your perspective on the feedback. Once again, just to make sure that there's some clarity, you can ask questions. You can ask questions like, what do I need to do to improve in such and such area? That's a question you can ask. You can also provide this statement. You could say, just so that we're clear, you're saying that, again, once again, it's all about clarity. It's all about understanding, ensuring that we comprehend the feedback that we receive, right? And once we get that understanding, once we get that clarity, then we should just act accordingly, right? As we go along on our journey, as we go along on our job, we should act accordingly. We should utilize that feedback. So that's tip number 5. Ask questions to deconstruct the feedback. The last tip, tip number 6, and that is to request the time to follow up. Now, I heard somewhere, I know many of you heard this, that there is fortune in the follow up. And basically, at the end of the feedback, this is more than likely the last statement or the last question that you want to ask. When is a good time to follow up with you? That should be like the last thing when it comes to receiving feedback. And as you're waiting on the follow-up, you want to get the time, you want to get the day as far as following up, whether it's, a few days from then, maybe it's a week from then, couple of weeks, a month, a few months, whatever it is, depending on what you're doing, right? But you want to definitely get that follow-up with that person who provided you with that feedback. So in the meantime, between the feedback and the follow up, you want to exercise that feedback to the fullest. And as we're exercising that feedback that we receive, our hopes is that we have level up, or that we're close to leveling up, or we achieve some goals, at least one goal, maybe two goals. But we want to ensure that we're utilizing that feedback before we follow up. And then from there, you follow up and see and check on your progression, right? You want to touch bases. And once again, we want to make sure that we are better than where we were before because of the feedback. So that's tip number 6, y'all. Tip number 6 is to request time for a follow up. So let's go over those last 3 tips on receiving constructive criticism. So, tip number 4 was to say thank you and really mean it. Be genuine, express your gratitude. Tip number 5 is to ask questions to deconstruct the feedback for the sake of clarity, to make sure that we understand the feedback that we receive. And tip number 6, request time for a follow up to ensure that we are progressing, that we are going in the right direction. So, please and blessings to you as you continue your journey. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about these 3 tips on receiving constructive criticism, along with the 3 tips that I shared with you on the Growth Times Infinity podcast. So with all that I shared, I hope that it's been valuable. I hope that now that we are prepared, that we are ready to receive constructive criticism, and we're ready to go out there and utilize the feedback that we recently received. And I hope that you all level up. I hope that you all go out there and accomplish some goals. Once again, feel free to leave a comment below. I would love to receive your feedback. You see what I did there? I really, truly would love to receive your feedback. So leave a comment below. And until the next time, keep growing and keep going.